Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to integrate player farming system into Survival Game Kit V1. To start with, we're going to go to our player farming system project and we're going to migrate over our player farming system folder. Just right click it and hit migrate, then hit OK, then find your project folder. So for me that's on my desktop, then select the content folder and hit select folder and just let it move over the files. Once that's done, we can head back to our Survival Game Kit project and make sure that we've got our player farming system folder in the content browser. Next, we're going to go to the edit dropdown, then project settings, then to the collision category, and we're going to create a new object channel, and this is going to be called placement, and we're going to hit accept. Then we're going to create a new trace channel, and this is going to be called light, and we'll hit accept, and another new trace channel, and this is going to be called preview, and then hit accept. Next, we're going to add a new preset, so I'm just going to hide these other categories and open up presets. Then I'm going to click new, and this one's going to be called plant. Collision needs to be set to collision enabled, and we're going to set this to be world dynamic. Then we're going to tick ignore, we're going to set it to block visibility. Then scrolling down, block world static and world dynamic. Then we're going to block the destructible and the placement and hit accept. Then we're going to create another new preset, and this is going to be called destroyed plant. Make sure it's spelled exactly like I've spelled it here. We're going to set this to collision enabled and to world dynamic. Then we're just going to tick ignore and we're going to set it to block world static and world dynamic. Then hit accept. Then we're going to double click the pawn preset here and we're going to set it to ignore light and preview and hit accept. Then do the same thing to the character mesh preview. We're just going to set it to ignore the preview and light, then hit accept. Then open up the trigger preset here and we're just going to set this to ignore the preview and light as well, then hit accept. Now we're going to go back to the content browser and we're going to search for the survival game mode and open that up. Just drag it over from my other screen here. We're going to add a new component. We're going to search for farming game mode and add the farming game mode component and then compile. We're also going to go to the class defaults and we're going to find the player controller class. Now, Survival Game Kit V1 doesn't have its own controller, so we're just going to switch this to use our farming controller, like that, and then we can compile. Then we're going to go to class settings, then to the implemented interfaces. There will either be an add button here or an add button here. Click that and search for farming. And we want to add the farming game mode interface, like that, and then just compile. Next, we're going to go to the farming game mode. So in the content folder, just search for farming game mode and open up the game mode. In here, we're going to go to the event graph and we're just going to copy these nodes, then go back to the survival game mode and paste those in. Then we'll open this up. We're going to right click this variable and do create variable save system. I'm just going to rename it and add farming to the beginning like that. Then we can compile. Then we're going to open up the interfaces, then game mode, and start at the bottom here for saving. We'll open up get save system. We'll just drag out and do get, and we can get the farming save system. Then go to lights, and we're going to get our farming component. From that, we're going to do get directional lights, and plug that in here. Then we're going to go to the night, get is night. We're going to get the farming component again, drag out and do get is night, and we want this variable. We'll plug that in here. Then for raining, we'll go to get is raining, grab the farming game mode component and do get is raining. Plug that into the top and then do get rain amount and plug that in here. Then we'll open the components, the get farming game mode component, and we just grab our component and plug that in here like that. Then we can compile and save this. Then we're going to go to the content browser and we're going to search for e_build type. And open up the build types, add a new numerator, and this is just going to be called farming. Then we'll save, and we're just going to play an editor. This will just compile some blueprints for us, so give it a second. And once the character loads in, you can just hit escape. You're going to get some errors, but that's fine. We can then save all just to make sure we're saving all of our changes. Next, we're going to go to the player building component, so we'll search for that. Open up the player building component. Then we're going to open up isValidBuildPart macro here and drag out from farming and just plug that into our top reroute node here and then compile. Then we're going to search for begin play and open that node up. And in here, we're going to drag out from our owning player and do get controller, and drag out from that and do get component by class. Set the class to the player farming component. Drag out from that and do promote to variable. We'll call this farming component, and then just connect this up to owning player and then to the delay node here like that, then compile. Then we're going to search for the select build type, open that up, and in here we're going to do get build type, then break and drag out from type and do 2 equals, and we want the top node. Then set this to the upgrade option, drag out from that and do a branch node and connect that up to our selected building at the end here. Then we're going to right click and do get farming component, drag out from that and call the exit placement mode and connect this up to true like that. Then we're going to just copy these nodes here, paste them up here, and we're going to change this to be the farming option. We'll drag out and do a branch node, and we want to connect this up to the false pin of the branch node that we just added. Then we're going to copy these nodes here, paste them, click the down arrow, and we want to find blueprint class, drag out and do cast to master farming actor class, connect that up to true. And then from there, we want to get our farming component again. So get farming component. We can click this arrow here to just make this a bit smaller. Drag out from the farming component and do client select placement actor. Plug that in here. Then we're going to drag out from our farming cast node and do get class defaults. And drag out from farming details and do break data table row handle. Plug in row name into row name like that. So once you're finished, it should look like this. Then we're just going to copy these nodes here because we're going to reuse those. Then we're going to search for the left mouse pressed and open that up. In here, we'll just paste those in, connect that up to between these 2 nodes here. So I'm just going to connect this up to here, and connect it to here. I'll just move these back a bit. And then if false, we just run this node. And if true, we want to get the farming component, drag out from that and do client place and connect that up to true like that and compile. Next, we're going to go back to the content browser and search for master character. Open that up. Then we're going to go to the initialize, not searching in the component, sorry, initialize, and open up initialize character. And in here, we're going to add in a get controller node, drag out from that and do get component by class. Set this to the player farming component. Drag out from this and do promote to variable, and we'll call this farming component. And we're just going to connect these up over here. So we'll just add them in here like that, and then this into our branch node like that. Then we're going to go to class settings, and we're going to add in a new interface. Again, the add might be here and it might be here, so just click whichever one you have. Click the add button and search for character. And we want to add farming character interface and then compile. Then in our My Blueprint panel, find the interfaces, open up character, camera, then open up the PFS character camera. And in here, we're going to start by getting the TP camera boom. Drag that in and connect that up to current camera, current spring on. Then we're going to get the FP camera, scroll down, and we want the TP camera. Then we're going to do get camera view, get this variable here, drag out from that and do a select node, plug this into current camera. Then we're going to get the FP camera, plug that into FP, and TP into TP. And then we're going to copy and paste this node again, drag out and do a select. Connect this up to camera type, and then the top one leave as first person and the second one set to third person like that, and then we can compile and save this. Next we're going to go to the survival character, so we'll just search for survival character and open that up. And we're also going to open up the farming character, so I'm just going to search for farming character and open that up as well. Then we're going to copy over the action inputs here. Copy those and paste those into our survival character. I'm just going to put mine over here like that. Then we're just going to right click and do get farming component. And we're going to plug these into the targets and just remove these grayed out nodes. So just copy paste this and plug those in for each one of these. Like that, and then we can compile. Then we're going to go over to the rotate key input here and paste in that farming component again, drag out and do rotate. We want to call the rotate preview and plug that in here like that. Next, with the action keys that we just pasted in, some of them are going to be using keys that Survival Game Kit's already using. So I'm just going to change these to ones that they aren't. You can change these to whatever you want for each one of these different actions. So for the water, I'm just going to set this to Y. For harvest, I'm going to set this to B. Then for fertilize, I'm going to set this to U. Then X, or the dig up plant, I'm going to change this to I. And then for, sorry, that's cure. For dig up plant, we're going to set this to O, like that. Now, you can change those to whatever you like. These are just keys that aren't currently being used, so I'm just going to set those to these. Next, we're going to go to the player farming component. So we're just going to search for player farming component. And that is this one here. So I'm just going to open that up. And we're going to start by going to onRep character. And in here, we're going to do get character. Drag out from that and do get component by class. And we're going to get the player inventory component. Drag out from this and do a promote variable. We're going to call this player inventory. And connect that up to the isValid here, and then this back up to our clear timer handle node there. Next, we're going to search for the place function and open that up. And over here where we have our spawn actor node, we're going to do, or we're going to get our new actor. I'm just going to copy paste this, drag out and do cast to master build part. Connect that up to our new actor set node there. Then we're going to get the player inventory. Then from that, get the player building component. Then from that, do get build type. Then drag out from that, or actually drag out from our cast node here and do set build part info. Connect this up to our cast node and this to our build type like that. Then we're going to drag out again from our cast node and search for multicast on spawned and connect that up here. Then make sure that you connect this end up to our set collision node like that. Then we're going to go over to these nodes here. We're going to copy a new actor L variable, drag out from it, and do get overlapping actors. I'm going to change the class filter to the plot pole build part, drag out from that and do get. And we're going to do isValid and connect this up to our set preview node here. Then we're going to drag out and do isValid index, and we're going to drag out from that and do a branch node and actually just connect our isValid to true and our input for our branch up to the set preview node like that. We'll just move these over here. Then we're going to drag out from the get node and do cast to master build part. Connect that up to the isValid, drag out from that and do get owners. And move this down. Then we're going to get our new actor variable. I'm just going to copy paste it, drag out from that and do cast to master build part. Connect that up to here. We're going to drag out from that cast node and do set owners and use the set owners node. Connect it up to our cast node and then take the owners and plug that into the set node like that. Then we're just going to, we'll move this over here and just copy these two nodes here, paste them down here. We're going to plug this into the is not valid and also into the false. And from that, we're going to drag out and do set owners. And again, use the set owners node, connect that up to here, drag out from that and do a make array. Then we're going to do get player inventory, drag out from that and do get player name and connect that up to the input here. And it will create a conversion node for us. Then we're just going to drag out from the output of our set node here and connect it up here, and then the same with our bottom owners node as well. Next, we're going to search for the harvest vegetables function and open that up. And in here, we're going to get our player inventory, Drag out from that and do add item. Connect this up to our loop node here. And we're going to drag out from the item in and do a make s item inventory node and connect the item ID to resource. We'll just move this up here and amount into the count input. Then drag out from the return value and create a branch node. Then we're going to copy paste our player inventory node, drag out from that and do client update inventory slot. Connect that up to true and plug the update info into the item out. Then drag out from player inventory again and search for all spawn item. Connect this up to false and then plug that into the item out as well, like that. Then we're just going to copy our player inventory node again and we're going to search for the check placement, and we want the check placement cost function. And we're just going to paste that node in. We'll drag out and do get player building component. Drag out from that and do get build type. Then we're going to drag out from player inventory and do check building cost. Plug the build type in, drag out from the build type and do a break. Then click the down arrow and we want to find the building cost, plug that into item cost. And we're going to just move these over here. We'll drag out from details and plug that into the check building cost here. Then we're just going to drag out from the return and do a branch node. And then drag out from false and do a return node. And we tick on insufficient resources like that, making sure it's coming from false. Then we're going to copy all of these nodes here. Go to the deduct placement cost. Paste those in here. We'll drag out from the player inventory and we're going to search for the server deduct building cost. Plug in the item cost into the building cost and plug this into our details node like that. Then we're just going to copy the player inventory node again and go to cost deduct. I'm just going to disconnect this node and move these up here so we've got some space. Paste in the player inventory node and drag out from that and search for item. Connect this up to cost. Then from cost we're going to create a break node, plug resource into the item ID and amount into the item count like that. Then drag out from return node and do a branch node. Then drag out from true and do return like that. Then tick on the remove items in like that. And then we're just going to copy these nodes and we're going to search for the cost check. Open up cost check. And again, we're just going to disconnect these nodes and move them up here. Paste in the nodes that we copied. Connect this up to cost and this one up to cost as well, like that. Then from true, drag out and do return node. And we want to leave insufficient resources unticked. Then we're going to create a new local variable and call this new no item L, leaving it as a boolean. Use a set node here, connect that up to false and tick on this. Then over by the return node here, we're just going to get our no item L and plug that in here. Then lastly, just untick remove items from the search for item node. Then go to the class defaults and in here we want to find the collision category. Then for the look at trace channel, we need this to be visibility. For the placement trace channel, this should be preview. So we're going to change that to preview. And for placement actor channel, this should be set to placement. So we'll set that to placement like that. Then we can compile this. Next, we're going to go to the master farming actor. So I'm just going to search for master farming actor. Open that up. And in here, we're going to go to class settings, then to parent class, and we're going to search for BP_master build. And we want the master build part, and then just compile. Then we're going to go to functions, the override, and we're going to search for spawn destruction, spawn space destruction, and we want spawn destruction build part. Open that up. Then just drag out from this node here and do start destruction mesh timer, and we're going to set this to 5. Just 5, there we go, and compile. Then we're going to go to the class defaults and find the collision category and make sure that this is set to light, so we'll change that here and then compile. Next we're going to go to the inventory HUD, so go to the content browser and search for inventory HUD. We want the middle one here, inventory HUD, open that up. Then go to the graph view and we want to find the get build part health visibility. So we'll just search for that, get build part, and we want get build part health visibility. And in here, we're going to drag out from hit actor and do get class, and scroll down, and we want this one here. Drag out from the return value and do class is child of, set the parent class to master plant, BP master plant. Drag out from that and do a branch node. Then connect from the false pin here to this branch node. Then from false, connect to the top return node, and from true, connect to the bottom return node here, like that. Then compile. Next, we're going to go to the content browser and search for the master plant, and open up the master plant here. And then we're going to go to the event graph, then begin play, and I'm just going to move these nodes up here so we've got a bit more space. We'll start by getting the plant component, drag out from that and do bind event to health updated here. Connect that up to our begin play node, drag out from the event and do custom, add custom event. We'll call this health updated, and then we're going to do right click and do set current health, and drag out from health, connect up to here. It'll create this node automatically, and then we can connect this up to health updated like that. Then we're going to get the mesh component, drag out from that and do set collision enabled and leave it as no collision. Plug that in here, and then from the output of this node, plug into setup collision here. Then we're going to go to the event graph, and I'm just going to scroll up here, and we're going to right click and do event damage taken. Then we're going to get our is preview node and connect that up to that node. Then from then we want to get the plant component, drag out from that and do decrease health, connect that up to false. Then from damage, connect that to decrease amount. We'll just move this here. Then we'll move these up a little bit so we've got a bit more space. Then we're going to search for event any damage, and we're just going to copy these nodes, paste them down here. We'll delete this conversion node because we don't need it. Plug the is preview into any damage, and then from damage, plug that into decrease amount like that. Then compile. Then in the class defaults, we're going to find the collision category, and we want to make sure that the placement collision category is set to placement, so set that here. The preview collision channel is set to preview, so we'll change that. And the light collision channel needs to be set to light, which it already is, but if yours isn't, just change it to light. We're also just going to set the current health to 10 for now, and just leave it like that, and compile. Next, we're going to go to the showcase, then in the content browser, search for the master grow light, and open that up. Then go to the event graph, and in here we're going to right click and do event interact, and create that. Then from that, we're just going to drag out and do toggle light and use that function here. Next, we'll go to the class defaults, and we want to find the collision category here. Make sure that this is set to light. If yours isn't, just change it. Then scrolling down, we want to find the interaction category. We're going to tick on interactable. Here you can set whatever text you like, but I'm just going to put toggle light. Then scrolling down, find the name, and you want to put the name of the build part here. So this, I'll just put grow light. Then we can compile. And again, in our class defaults, we want to find the build menu and make sure that this is set to the building options menu, and tick on owner required building, and then we can compile. You may also want to change the health of this object, so recommend setting a max health of say 100. We can set a current health as well of 100 like that. Then we're going to do the same process in the sprinkler, so just search for master sprinkler and find the master sprinkler, which is here. Open that up, and again we'll go to the event graph, right click and do event interact, and drag out from that and do toggle sprinkler. Then we can compile, go to the class defaults, again make sure the light collision channel is set to light, scroll down, find the build menu category here, make sure this is set to the building options menu, and tick on owner required building. Then we want to tick on interactable, set the interact text, so I'm just going to put toggle sprinkler, And we'll also set the build part name, so this would just be sprinkler as well. And if you want to select something else, you can. Then we can compile, or actually first we want to set our health, so I'm just going to set current health 100 and max health 100 as well, and then we can compile. Now we're just going to go to the showcase and hit play, again just to compile the blueprints, so give it a second to load in. Once your character does load in, we can just exit out, and I'm going to click save all, and just save everything for a second. Then we're going to search for the survival save game, and open up the survival save game object here. Then we're going to create a new variable. We're going to call this plant save data, and set this to s_plant save data, and change this to an array. So over here, just click the drop down and select array. Then we'll create another one. This will be called planter save data, and change its type to s_planter save data, and then add another variable and call this tool save data, and set this to s_tool, and we want tool save data like that. Then we can compile this, and again we're just going to play an editor just to compile the blueprints. Once your character loads in, you can just exit out. Next, we're going to go to the inventory save system, so I'm just going to search for inventory save system and open that blueprint up. Then we're going to go to the load master build parts function here, open that up, and we'll go right to the end here. But first we're actually going to create a new variable. Just drag out from the cast node here and create promote to local variable. We'll just call this build part L, and make sure you connect this up to the cast node and then to the current health node like that. Then we'll go to the end and just compile. And there's actually one other variable we do need to create, so we'll go back to our loop here, and we'll drag out from the array index and do promote to local variable, which we'll call this index L, and we'll connect this up to the array element, and then connect this end up to the spawn actor here. Now we can go to the end of the function and do get build part L, drag out from that and do cast to master plant. Then we're going to connect this up to the end. Then we're going to do get save game data, drag out from that and do get plant save data. Then drag out from that and use one of the get nodes, either one's fine. Then drag out from the index and do get index L and create that. Then we're going to drag out from the master plant and do get plant component, and drag out from that and do load plant save data. Connect this up to our cast node here. We're going to plug the plant save data into the get node like that. Then we're just going to copy the build part L, paste that down here, drag out and do cast to master planter, not planter, make sure you get the right one. Plug this into cast failed. Then we're going to copy our save game data, paste it down here and do get plant save data. Drag out from that and do a get node. Then drag out from the index and again do get index L. Then drag out from the master planter and call the load attached plants and plug this into our get node here. Then we're going to copy and paste our build part L again, and we're going to drag out and do cast to master sprinkler. Connect this to the cast failed here. We'll copy our save game data again, drag out from that and do get tool save data, drag out from that and do a get node, then drag out from the index and search for index L. And then we're going to drag out from our sprinkler here and do set sprinkler on, not get, sorry, we want the set sprinkler, and we want set sprinkler on. Connect this up to our cast node here, drag out from the get and do a break, then go from enabled and plug that into our sprinkler on here. Then we're going to get the build part and copy paste it again, cast to master grow light, plug this into cast failed, then drag out from our cast node here and do set light on, and we want the set light on node. Connect this up to our cast node. Then we'll just copy paste these nodes here, paste them down here, plug an enabled into here like that. Once you're done, it should look like this. Next, we're going to search for the save master build part, and we want that function. We'll open that up. We'll start by dragging out from our add node and doing a local variable, which call this index L, like that. Then we're going to also drag out from this loop and create another local variable, which call this build part L, and make sure we connect this up to the loop and also to our branch node here. Then we're going to go to the end again, and we want to get our build part L, drag out from that and do a cast to master farming actor, connect that up to our index. Then we'll drag out from that and do a get preview we want pfs get preview, like that. Drag out from the preview and do a branch node, and then from false, or actually we're going to copy our build part L, paste that here, do a cast to master plant, connect this up to the false pin, making sure it is the false pin, and then we can drag out from our cast node here, do a get attach parent actor, then drag out from that and do an is valid, and connect this up to our cast node. Then we're going to drag out from our cast node again and do get plant component, and we'll just select that. Then we're going to drag out from that and do set plant save data, connect this up to the is not valid. Again, make sure you do plug it into is not valid. Then we want to do get save game data, drag out from that, get plant save data, then drag out from that and do a set array element, plug this into our plant here. Then we're going to drag out from index and do get index L, and then for the item we want to plug this into the plant save data over here and tick on size to fit. Then we're going to go back over here, we're going to copy our build part L, we're going to cast to master planter, connect this up to cast failed, drag out from this and do set planter save data. Then we're going to copy these nodes over here, just paste them over here, and I'm going to disconnect or delete this plant save data, drag out and do get planter save data, plug that into target array and this into the node over here, and then this into our item. Then we'll copy paste our build part again, drag out and do cast to master sprinkler, connect this up to cast failed, drag out from the master sprinkler pin and search for set tool save data. Then we'll just copy these nodes again, paste them down here, plug this in here, we'll delete the planter save data, drag out and do get tools save data, plug that in here, then the item plug into our set tool save data, then again copy paste build part, cast to master grow light, connect this up to the cast failed. Then we're just going to copy all these nodes, paste them down here, just move these in line, drag out from the grow light and do set tool save data, and we can just connect this up to our set array element and our tool save data to the item like that. So once you're done, it should look like this. You can pause if you need to have a look at any of the other parts, and then we can compile. Next, there's some HUD elements that come with the farming system that we're going to remove, and that's just the controls and resources panel because we're not going to need those anymore. So we're just going to search for the farming HUD, and we'll open that up. And in here we can select the controls panel over here in the hierarchy, delete that. The same for show controls background, we can delete that, and resources, we can delete that. Then we'll compile. We'll get some warnings, but that's fine. We'll go to the graph view, select toggle controls and delete it, hit yes, and do the same for toggle resources and then hit yes, then compile. Then we're going to go to the master planter, so we'll just search for master planter, open that up, and in our class defaults again under collision, make sure this is set to light. You're probably also going to want to set the health, so I'm just going to set the current health to 100 and the max health to 100 as well, and then we'll compile. And we'll also set the building menu here to be the building options menu and tick on owner required building and just compile again. Now I'm just going to go to the showcase and again play an editor just to compile everything. We might have some errors here, so we'll just go to that and open it up. We'll compile here quickly, and you might have some errors just because we've deleted some functions in the HUD, so we can just delete these. We're not using this character anymore anyway, but that will just get rid of those errors. Then we can hit play, let it compile the blueprints, and then we can escape out and hit save all just to save all of our changes. Next, we're ready to actually create our farming items and build parts in the item list and build part list. I'm not going to be going through every single planter and tool because the process is basically the same, but I will give you a couple of examples so you know how to do it yourself. So to start with, we're going to go to the item list, and before we open that up, I'm actually just going to close these tabs so we've got a bit of space. So I'm just going to click close other tabs and give it a second just to do that. Then we're going to open up our item list, and I'm just going to drag that over here, and I'm going to click add to create a new item. Now it's important that we use the same row name in our item list as our build part list and also the lists from the farming system. So mine's going to be called tomato plant, like that. And the reason I'm calling it tomato plant is if we go to the farming system here, I'll just get rid of the search. If we go to blueprints, we find our plant list. You can see that in here it's called tomato plant. So we need to make sure in our item list it's also called tomato plant. Then we can set a name for our item, so tomato plant. You can set a description, weight, all of this sort of stuff, and images and things in here. There's separate documentation for that if you need to know more. But we're just going to be setting it up basically for placement. So I'm going to set the category to building. That needs to be set to building for this to work. Then moving down, we need to set our max stack. I'm just going to set mine to 1. Then scrolling down again, we're going to need to set a world mesh. So this is the item mesh that will be used when it's dropped on the ground. I'm just going to be using the bag that comes with Survival Game Kit. And we also need to set an icon just so we can see our item in our inventory. I'm just going to set it to the Apple icon for now. Now we're ready to make our build part items. So we're going to go to the build part list. We'll search for that in the content folder here. So build part list, and open that up. And we're going to create a new build part. And again, making sure that we use the exact same name from the row name here in our build part list. So we'll just paste that in. We can set a name here. So I'm just going to put tomato plant, put a space here. Now it's very important that for all farming related things, so that's the plants, planters and the tools that come with the farming system, you want to make sure that this is set to farming. If you don't, it won't work. Then I'm going to set the health to just 100. You can add a description if you like, but I'm just going to leave this blank. I'm going to tick on take damage, and then scrolling down, we've got the build part class. I'm going to set this to be our tomato plant blueprint. So search for tomato plant. You can see BP tomato plant. Then scrolling down some more, we need to set our item cost. So we'll open up building cost. Then we're going to set item 1 count to 1. So I'm just going to set mine up to use up the tomato plant item that we created in the item list. So whenever we place it, it will use up one of those items. So I'm setting the count to 1. And then in the item 1 option here, we need to set this to the item list. Set it to item list. And then we're going to select our tomato item that we just created. So search for tomato. Set that to tomato plant. Now a lot of the settings in this build part list for any farming related build parts won't actually have any effect, because instead the plant list and the planter list and the tools lists, their settings are what are used whenever we're using a tomato plant or any of our other plants or planters. So you won't be using most of these settings anyway. You would change those settings in here. So heading back to our item list now, we can just save this. Next, we need to create a world item for our new tomato plant. So I'm just going to go to the player and survival game kit folder, then blueprints, then we want to find the items folder, then world items, and I'm just going to duplicate one of the existing ones. So I'll duplicate the shotgun ammo, for example. We want to duplicate that. I'm just going to rename this to be the tomato plant, and then we'll open that up. And in here, we want to change the item or the selected item here to be our new tomato item. So search for tomato, select the tomato plant, and then compile and save this. Then we can drag that into our level and our player will be able to pick that up. But before we test this out, we do actually need to add one more thing to our project settings. So we'll head back there, then go to the collision tab, then the presets. We're going to click new. We're going to call this one placement preview. We're going to set its collision enable to query only, and we're going to set it to world dynamic. Then we're just going to tick ignore at the top here. Then we're going to set it to overlap all of these options here, apart from the placement which we want to block, and hit accept. Now we can test out our plant. We're going to hit play. I'll pick up our plant item, drag that to our quick slot, press 1. You can see our preview is working. If I place our plant, you can see that the UI is all showing up. We can also use our actions. So Y will increase our water. B is used for harvest, but we have to wait for the vegetables to grow. If we want to fertilize it, we can press U, but currently it has max fertilizer. But if I press it now, you can see it increases. But right now, if we water our plant or fertilize it or harvest it, we won't actually receive any items yet. So we need to set those up. So to start with, to set the cost of watering or fertilizing a plant, we need to go to the farming component. So go to the player farming system, blueprints, components, then find the player farming component. In here in class defaults, if I just make it a bit bigger, you can scroll down and we can find the resources panel. And in here is where we can set the costs of curing, fertilizing, and watering a plant. To set it to cost an item, we just click the add button here, click the drop down arrow. Here we set the item's row name from our item list. So if we go to the item list, you just copy any one of these row names. So for example, if we wanted it to cost an apple, we could just double click this, copy apple, and paste that in here. And then we can set how many apples it will cost to water a plant. So I can set this to 1, for example. And this works exactly the same for the fertilizer resource cost and the cure resource cost as well. You can also add multiple items. So if we wanted to have it so that you could use an apple or some other item, you can just click the plus and add another item on here. For now, I'm just going to leave it as apple. So I'm just going to remove this one down here and we'll just compile. Next, we want to be able to choose which items our player will receive when they harvest a plant. So to do that, we need to go to our plant's blueprint. So again, player farming system, blueprints, then to plants. We can open up our tomato plant. Then here we can select the plant component. Then we can search for the resource category. So just scroll down, find the vegetable category, open that up, and then you can see we've got vegetable resources here. And this works basically the same as in our player farming component. We can open this up. Currently it's got some of the default settings, but we'll just remove those. And we can add a new element. And then here we can set what item we want from the item list. Again, this is just the row name from the item list. So I could pick beans, for example, and paste that in here. We can set the min and max amount that we can get from this plant of this item. And if we want to, we can add multiple items as well. So just click the plus again. You can set another item down here. Next, I'm going to quickly show you how to set up one of the planters. Again, I'm not going to be going through all of them. I'm just going to do one that you can use an example, and then you can repeat the process with the other planters. So to get started, we'll head to the item list. And in here, we're going to create a new item. Again, making sure that the row name is the same as from the lists in the farming system. So we go to player farming system, blueprints, find the planter list. And in here, you can see we've got the planter names. I'm going to do the large planter. So I'm just going to copy that name, go to the item list and paste that in here. So we know it's exactly the same. Then we're just going to scroll up to the top on our item list here. We'll set the name to large planter. You can set description if you like. I'm just going to set the weight to 1. We need to make sure that it's set to building. Then going further down, we want to set the max stack to 1 and stackable, we'll just leave that turned off. And we also want to tick on droppable if you want it to be possible for your item to drop. You can set up the rest of these settings however you like. We will need an icon, so I'm just going to use, we can use the beans image for now. Then we need to set a world mesh. I'm just going to use the bag again, so we'll select that. Now we need to add our build part list, so we'll go to our build part list, we'll add a new option, again making sure that we use the exact same name from our item list, so I'm just going to paste that in. Then we'll set the name to large planter, making sure that we set this to farming. Then you can set description if you like. I'm just going to set the health to 100. We'll tick on take damage. Then going down, we need to set our blueprint class. So we're using the large planter. So I'm just going to search for that. We've got the large planter here. We'll select that. Then scrolling down, we can set our building cost. I'm just going to set this to cost the large planter item that we just created. So again, we're going to go to the item list. We're going to set this to the item list. Set that, and then we're going to set this to our large planter item that we just created. and I'm going to set the count to 1. Now we can create our item blueprint. So we'll go to the blueprints, items, world items again, and I'm just going to duplicate the tomato plant item that we made, and I'm going to set this to our large planter. So just delete this, and we'll paste in that large planter name. Open this up, and in here find the selected item, and we're just going to change this to the large planter. Compile this, and we can drag that into our level for our player to use. Now we can test this out. I'll hit play, pick up our planter, and add that to our quick bar, and you can see our planter is showing up. We can't place it in the air. If I place it, I can get our plant, select that, and you can see that our snapping is all working correctly as well. So I'll place our plant here. I can also test that if saving and loading is working. So press K to save. I'll exit out and hit play again. Give it a second to load, and you can see that our planter and our plant has actually loaded up with its correct growth values as well. There's one other small change that you might want to make in the farming HUD. So if we just go back to the farming HUD quickly, open that up, you can see that we've got a little crosshair dot in the middle. If you don't want that, you can just select the crosshair dot here and delete it, compile, and that will be gone now. There's a couple of other blueprints. We're just going to double check their collision settings. So in the player farming system, we're going to go to the warmth detector. So we want this one here, open that up. And then class defaults, just check the collision settings, and this should be set to light, so make sure it is. Then going back to the content browser, we want to go to the light detector, and we want to open that blueprint up. And again, in class defaults, go to collision and make sure that this is set to light, like that, and then compile. Lastly, we're just going to head back to the master farming actor. So I'm just going to search for master farming actor in the player farming system folder. Open that up, and we're going to select our mesh component here. And in the details, we're going to search for tag and add a new tag, and this is going to be called ignore mesh. That's with a capital I and a capital M, and it's one word, so it must be spelled like this. Then we'll compile. Next, we're just going to go back to the content browser and search for build preview. Open up that blueprint, and in here, select the selected mesh component, scroll down till you find the collision category, open up collision presets, and make sure it ignores both the preview and light, and also the placement down here. And then do the same thing with the plot pole check, so ignore preview, light, and placement, and then do the same thing again with the safe overlap check component as well, like that. Then just compile and save. So that's pretty much it for this video. Again, you will have to go through and add the other plants, planters, and tools, but that process is exactly the same as what we did with our tomato plant and our large planter. So thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below.